Golf, baseball, softball, fitness, soccer, you name it, Platigan Sports in Grand Island has got it. Stop by to buy, sell, or trade used fitness equipment. Trade in and trade up at Platigan Sports.
Welcome to End Zone Online. I'm George Ayoub with my buddy Bobby Mills, the 1,000-yard guy. We are at Grand Island Memorial Stadium. We're going to talk a little high school football. District play starts this week in earnest across the state, and so this is an important time of year.
It is indeed.
And as we talked just before we went on the air, injuries are an issue, I think, for a lot of teams, trying to get people healthy.
Right, and a lot of running backs, some quarterbacks have been out for the season, but this is a time when new stars emerge.
Right, young kids in particular are coming to the fore for many teams across the state. We're going to talk a little bit about what happened on Friday night to the local teams. We're going to visit a little bit with Bobby about he was at Fullerton and Shelton, which was a terrific football game, and I know we broadcast the Central Catholic game, Rob and I, and got tweets from you, and it sounded like a terrific game. So we're going to start here, Grand Island Senior High School. Our friends across the street had a great win last week, 34-28 at Norfolk. Tough place to win, and against an undefeated Norfolk team. You were at that game, Bob.
Yeah, they were resilient. They just kept coming back. They made the plays when they had to, took advantage of turnovers. Came out good. That's surprising for anybody to go up there and get a win against a good Norfolk team.
A good Norfolk team who had a win over Kearney, who's Grand Island's opponent this week coming up. The Islanders going to meet their rivalry game. Kearney at 1-3. Unusual. The Bearcats come in fairly tough schedule. They lost to North Star. They lost to Millard North.
Yep.
And had one other. They lost to Pius and Norfolk and Millard North.
Right.
So, three good teams. Millard North is 1-3, but, they've played top 5 teams almost every week.
They have, and one thing about Kearney, Millard North did have Clay Fisher back last week, and to hold them to 19-7 or 6 or whatever it was, these teams might as well both be 3-1.
Right, exactly. And so I think that says Brandon Cool's Kearney Bearcats, they have a good defense if they held Millard with Fisher to 19 points. A rivalry game, you have to throw a lot of things out. It should be a great contest. We're going to be broadcasting that game, ladies and gentlemen, on theindependent.com. Friday night, we'll be on the air at 6:45, brought to you by Tom Dinsdale Automotive. Rob Misek and I will have the call from right here. So we're looking forward to that. That'll be a terrific game.
One of the best in the state, you bet.
So our friends, the Vikings from Grand Island Northwest, go out and they get beaten in a field goal, overtime field goal.
Boy.
It's 23-20. Coach Stein's crew still looking to find that little spark to get them going.
Well, they've got to get a run defense, because teams know they can run on them right now, and he'll get that fixed before the season's over. Lexington is also an improving team, George.
Right.
So.
And as we talked at the outset, as district play starts, in Class B, at least in Northwest case, their 3 district games are the last 3 games of the season. Mm-hmm. There's some urgency here, but he has some time to get that taken care of. Class C1 game that was played here at Memorial Stadium, and Rob and I had the call on Central Catholic, a 27-14 winner over Milford. Milford really took it to them in the first half, and great adjustments by Coach Shoemaker at the halftime, and they came out, mixed the run and the pass. They got Alex Allen involved on the run game, and I think it opened things up, and Milford shot itself in the foot 4 or 5 times, and the result was a 27-14 win. Good win for the Crusaders.
It looked like if you're a statistician, you wouldn't have to write down much because the total yardage was, I don't know if either team had over 250 yards, but the defense was terrific.
Yeah, Johanna Gaifan, we just called his name. We just said this tackle will be made by. He was everywhere. Terrific game for the young man, and he played sideline to sideline. Zach Britton had a great game, and Lucas Savage had a great game. Just really a nice defensive effort by the Crusaders in the second half, in particular. So, they're 3-1, and they're going to head up. They're going to play St. Paul this week. He's 0-3. But, again, a rivalry game. You want to be really careful. That's a trap game for the Crusaders. They have to watch out for that kind of thing.
That's well put. That's exactly what it is.
Right.
It's always going to be a head knocker.
Right, and we should mention that Northwest travels out to Gering. They're going, halfway across the country to a 1-3 Gering team. Again, the long trip. They've been out there once. They got beat by Sydney out in that part of the state. So, they'll have their work cut out for them
They've got to focus on one guy, and that's Gage Smith. He's a terrific running back.
Yeah.
So shut him down, they might have a pretty good shot.
And you know, and I think that's the kind of thing when you talked about the run defense, and not to backtrack too much here, but with Northwest is if they can get him stopped, I think that'll give him confidence.
Absolutely.
We can stop a good back.
That's right.
Heartland Lutheran, they really got clobbered 82-19 by a Nebraska Lutheran team that you predicted last week was really on a roll, 4-0 now.
Yeah, they used to be a passing team, and now they just run it right at you.
Yeah, right at it. And I noticed that Nebraska Lutheran's in the same district as Parkview Christian, so that'll be a tough thing. So out of the frying pan into the D2 fire as the Hornets now have to face Giltner. Lost opening week in the season, but always a tough team. Also a district game, so they have their work cut out for them.
Hang in there, Hornets.
Yeah, really.
Red Hornets.
Red Hornets, absolutely. So that's what happened over the weekend here locally for our 4 high school teams. We'll be back after a word from Play It Again Sports. We're going to talk a little districts, and we're going to talk Player of the Week.
Do you want to trade in your used fitness or sports equipment? How about sports apparel? All your answers are at Play It Again Sports in Grand Island, where you can trade in and trade up at Play It Again Sports.
Shelton's line play was just incredible, and the fact that a 115-pound running back, I assume that's what David Jimenez weighs, can run pretty well, that's saying something. And I don't know who's going to beat Shelton this year with those 3 big guys up front.
Right.
You and I could probably gain a few. That might be a stretch, but still.
We could gain a few just once, though. Then they'd be carting us off the field.
That's right, but that's a terrific football team.
Great foundation for them to have those 3 kids up front. And, you know, Jimenez, tough kid, wrestler.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's going to be, I think he'll be outstanding for him the entire year.
Well, the fact that Garrett Sondra was hurt the first play of the second half made a big difference. And, you know, they couldn't get going after that, although they did make a game comeback. And like I said, on that last play, they could have won the game had Sondra been able to pitch that ball to an open man on the 15-yard line.
Yeah, great high school game for Nebraska. Great matchup. One of those games that when you, as you say, when you come over the hill and you see the lights, that you want to be there and watch that game. So Shelton gets it, and they're flying high as they head into this week. Some other great performances this week that you want to mention?
Well, I want to mention. Do we do the athlete of the week? Or
well, you got a couple before the athlete of the week, don't you?
Well, for one thing, the Jimenez kid. I'm trying to think. They're all over the state, George, and of course you don't want to get too far away from home. But gosh, I'm just trying to think.
Well,
I'm stumped because
we stumped him, folks.
Yeah,
but we do want to. Our player of the week is going to come from Centura this week. You want to talk a little bit about him?
Well, Michael Hansen's our boy. And he's the son of Coach Greg Hansen. And against Ravenna, he threw for 306 yards, 13 of 19 accuracy passing, a couple of touchdowns, maybe 3 touchdowns, I think, and he ran for a couple of more. So Centura is out of that tight wing tee this year. They're not doing the rugby scrum type thing. They're back in a shotgun type offense, and it's working.
So he's a lot of these are drop back passes, but he's a pretty mobile kid anyway.
There you go. That's exactly what I was going to say.
I think defending him is going to be tough, particularly out of that formation, because while it's not a spread, he can run the ball at any time and with some authority. So our athlete of the week, one of the from the Centurions up north of us, and we'll get a gift certificate, frame gift certificate, up to him. So. Thanks, Bobby. Okay, let's talk a little bit about districts. The Islanders start district play with Kearney this week, and they're leading their district. Right now, the Islanders are the only team with a winning record in their district. Fremont, North Star, North Platte, Lincoln High, and Kearney are the teams that round out that district, so they're in the driver's seat there.
That's a good district to be in, and boy, a Kearney win would go a long way.
It'd be big.
Right here.
Because I still think that down the road, I think North Star is going to they're going to be tough. They had some injuries early on, and so that'll be a big game too. So it's a big game here Friday night, Islanders and the Kearney Bearcats. Northwest, as we mentioned, in a district with Columbus, York, and Aurora.
Oh, boy.
That's a tough draw. Last 3 games of the season. Right now the Vikings sit kind of they're third in that district, Aurora, of course, undefeated. York at 3-1. So, they're going to have to win some games they have to win. Gary, and this weekend would be one of them.
Right. It's just that this team here reminds me of the old Hastings basketball teams that would play an all Class A schedule, go 1-14, and then make it to state because they are competing in Class B. That's all Northwest has to do is win the last 3 games,
yeah.
But that's a big if.
It is a big if, and those 3 teams are, particularly York and Aurora, are playing well. So, those are big games. Get your kids healthy, get gelled, be ready to go. Adams Central, of course, is the leader in the Grand Island Central Catholic District, the C17 district, and they're always a tough team. And of course, I think it's October 25th. We'll have that game, Adams Central and Grand Island. That could be for the district championship.
It could be. Look how good Adams Central was last year, and that district game was a head knocker, 12-6.
Yeah.
So they both lost about the same amount of people. You can't ever say that Central Catholic doesn't have a good shot to beat Adams Central. Look at last year. So that will be a great matchup.
Yeah,
great game.
That'll be a great game. And then finally, Heartland Lutheran, we talk each week about their tough schedule. Giltner, of course, is in their district, and they're going to be tough at the end of the season too. So the Red Hornets have their work cut out for them as well. So that's going to do it for End Zone Online. It's district play starts in earnest here, as we mentioned earlier. Join us 6:45 Friday night for the broadcast on theindependent.com. I'll have the call with Rob Misek. The Islanders from Grand Island Senior High will play in a rivalry game against the Kearney Bearcats right here at Memorial Stadium. We'll see you then. That game brought to you by Tom Dinsdale Automotive. Our broadcast today brought to you by Play It Again Sports. I'm George Ayoub for Bobby Mills. This has been End Zone Online.
Golf, baseball, softball, fitness, soccer, you name it, Play It Again Sports in Grand Island has got it. Stop by to buy, sell, or trade used fitness equipment. Trade in and trade up at Play It Again Sports.